Huthis headquarters. Over the last few minutes, we've been getting a lot of updates on the developments in the region and, of course, the consequences on a global scale. We're going to bring you guys all the updates and, of course, get your reaction live as well. So there has been a number of kind of contradictory updates that happened because the Lebanese government have gone to beg the Americans to tell the Israelis to calm down a little bit. Because, in case you don't know, the structure of the Lebanese system is a combination of the Islamic side and the Christian side. And of course, the Prime Minister of Lebanon is not too happy. So President Trump said to Netanyahu, all right, I understand you're going to have to go wipe out the Hezbollah side, but try not to anger the Lebanese government too much. But Netanyahu said, I'm going to do what I do anyway. And Trump said, okay, while you're at that, we're going to take care of your other problem and our problem in Yemen, and that's the Houthis. We're also going to have an update in regards to what Jackson Hinkle is now doing. He's now moved on from just being a social media troll to an actual dangerous enemy of the West. First things first, let's give you guys the update on the IDF operation. The Israelis issued an evacuation warning earlier and fired warning shots before targeting the main site of Hezbollah. The military says that the whole thing was used by the Hezbollah side. The Lebanese Prime Minister, we're going to go to him in a second, has said, how dare the Israelis do this? What about ordinary people? But we do have evidence. Once again, the evacuation orders were there well in advance, and the residents left the area. If anybody stayed, you know that they were connected to Hezbollah. Why do you care about Hezbollah? That is one of the main issues that we have to ask from the so-called Lebanese government. And we also have a number of videos which we're going to show you now in terms of what's actually been going on the ground. Let's go to the first. A number of people in the live chat are asking how Jackson Hinkle is going to come back to the US. Well, he's not going to come back to the US, go back to the US, because he's going to be living in Moscow, obviously. So the issue with the infrastructure of Hezbollah is quite important because Hezbollah lost all their main headquarters and the main buildings that they had. So what they've been using is the United Nations buildings, UNIFIL, and some of the governmental sites. That includes, by the way, sites near schools and hospitals, just like what Hamas do in Gaza. And this is why the Lebanese government are kicking off. But it's your job to not allow Hezbollah to use those civilian areas. Why do you then complain when the Israelis have to defend themselves? Yes, so let's go and discuss the main issue, the United Nations. So there was reported earlier, about half an hour ago, sirens sounding at the UNIFIL bases in southern Lebanon. But this was also the Israeli flares that were over multiple towns across the southern parts of Lebanon. The situation is still developing, and over the next few minutes, we're trying to get more updates in terms of the reaction from the UN. But we do know that some of the people as part of the United Nations or UNIFIL have been complicit. They have been aiding and supporting, let's just say, at best turning a blind eye to the Hezbollah activities, and they have to be held to account, just like the UNRWA in Gaza. None of that is actually happening. And this is the problem. If people in the international community want to go and hold the Israelis to account, and by the way, hold every side to account. If, for example, tomorrow Israel does something wrong, you must call it out. You must hold them to account. And it's been done so many times. The issue is, it's one-sided. They try to hold Israel to account by basically attacking Israel, even if it's just defending itself. But nobody's holding the United Nations to account when they've been going around employing a bunch of terrorists. How is that fair? Now, in regards to the Prime Minister, Netanyahu said those who have not yet internalized the new situation in Lebanon received today another example of our determination. the equation has changed. What happened before the 7th of October attacks will not be repeated. And I also, as I talked about, saying that we will not allow shooting at our communities, not even a drizzle. We will continue to vigorously enforce the ceasefire, attack anywhere in Lebanon against any threat to the state of Israel, and ensure that all our residents in the north return to their homes safely. Now, this is where there is more pressure on the government in Israel, because there are so many Israelis who've been displaced from the north, which again, I've been saying this for the past few months, nobody seems to care in the international community, right? Nobody seems to care that for about a year and a half, there are people who lived in the northern parts, some parts of the northern parts of Israel, who can't go back home. They've been displaced. But there is more pressure on Netanyahu because he's been saying this for the past few months now, saying, yes, we're going to return the residents into the northern. Yes, when? I fully understand this is not an easy situation. I fully understand that the IDF are professional. They're doing their operations as usual. But when the Prime Minister keeps repeating the same promise, obviously people are going to get outraged, saying, stop saying this and do something radical. But then Netanyahu says, well, there are some obstacles. That also includes sometimes the Americans and the Lebanese government. So it's probably best for Netanyahu not to keep saying we're going to return the residents to the northern parts of Israel. Just get it done, and then it will eventually happen. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister in Lebanon is having a meltdown. Yes, Nawaf Salam has urged the global community to put pressure on Israel. So he's saying that they decided to contact the Arab League and the international leaders, basically Macron and all the others, calling for urgent pressure on Israel to stop its attacks on Hezbollah. He's not necessarily defending Hezbollah publicly. He simply says, well, by attacking Hezbollah, the Israelis are hitting the residential areas. I'll repeat myself. It's your job as the Lebanese government to not allow Hezbollah to be in residential areas. Simple. You guys promised a couple of months ago, you're going to go stop Hezbollah. And I did say at the time, don't hold your breath. There are a bunch of idiots and incompetents in the Lebanese government. Now they're going to go around cry, say, oh, why are the Jews attacking us? They're not attacking you. They're attacking terrorists. They just happen to be hanging out with you, next door to you. Why do you have them living next door to you? Straightforward. Deal with it. Now, meanwhile, putting aside the Lebanese government, the areas they've been talking about, for example, one of these areas is near a school. The building marked that the Israelis said evacuate. This is in Beirut's southern suburbs. There are two schools. And in the middle of, between the two schools, you had a Hezbollah base. Residents left, evacuated immediately because they knew, because Israel, again, let's not forget, the IDF is the only defense force in the world that tells you we're about to come. It's not like 2003 Iraq when the Americans and everybody else just bombed the whole thing, or Dresden in Germany. Having said that, everything goes back, the responsibility, onto the Lebanese government. Why was there a site between two schools? What is this, Gaza? These guys have been going around claiming, well, at least we're not like Gaza. The Lebanese government are still in charge. Really? Are you? I don't think so. The whole so-called ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel was supposed to be no activity by Hezbollah, and Lebanon was supposed to be monitoring that. The Lebanese army. They did that for about 12 minutes. And that's it. Everything went back to normal. And now they're wondering why the IDF are hitting. It was part of the agreement. Part of the ceasefire agreement said, if there is any activity by Hezbollah, the IDF has every right to hit it. It was signed by all parties. Everybody agreed. Why are they crying now? Now, President Trump is also busy with his own activities in the region. He's dealing directly with the Islamic Republic of Iran and the threats coming from Khamenei's headquarters. And things are escalating. Obviously, Trump has given Iran a bit of a deadline, which I think we have about a week left. He's now wiping out the headquarters of the Houthis. Brilliant. And he's sent out once again a big warning to the Iranian regime.
We're going to either have to talk and talk it out or Very bad things are going to happen to Iran, and I don't want that to happen. Big preference, and I don't say this through strength or weakness. My big preference is we work it out with Iran. But if we don't work it out, bad things are going to happen to Iran. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Come on, guys.
Straightforward. And this is exactly why Trump still seems unpredictable from the eyes of the Iranian regime and the enemies. Because they know that he could go either way. Because he's not a 100% warmonger and he's not a 100% isolationist. He's pragmatic when it comes to foreign policy. He deals with it like the business world. So he says, okay, well, I'm going to send you a threat. If you don't do it, I'm going to have to attack you. And I'm not going to bluff. That's why they're like, well, is he bluffing? Is he not bluffing? Is he going to hit? Is he going to invade? What is he going to do? So, and yes, there is the answer is he's hitting massively. President Trump has ordered a massive airstrike. This is again last night and today in Yemen. The Houthis have been hammered once again. We're among the most intense parts of the campaign that President Trump and the US Air Force have had in the last couple of weeks. The targets have been the senior leadership who have been hit. We are awaiting confirmation on how many and who has been eliminated. We do know that the headquarters have been completely wiped out now. The main bases are now gone. They had to relocate the Islamists. They don't know where to go because obviously the southwest part of Yemen, the whole thing is now from the air under the control of the Americans. They know exactly where to target. You do not mess with the Americans. These guys are professional. And also you're going around dealing with Yemen. It's open. Yes, you can find places to hide, but it's not necessarily like Afghanistan with all the mountains. They still obviously do have holes and caves and things like that. But the Houthis made a big mistake over the last few years because they've been hiding in open sight. Yes, they still wear civilian clothing, right? So it'll be difficult to tell who is whom, and they all have the same beard. So that's the problem. But with the help of CIA and the intel coming towards the Pentagon, they know exactly where these guys are gathering on a regular basis. Now, speaking of the Houthis and the Islamists with the IRGC, they held yet another big rally. This is the problem because when they hold rallies, they bring in their families and their relatives, technically speaking, civilians. So the US Air Force are not able to target them. Even though, let's not forget, the Americans and the Israelis are called evil. Oh, they do genocide. If they really wanted to do genocide, this massive rally, which, by the way, Jackson Hinkle made a speech at. Jackson Hinkle is now extremely famous in the Islamic world. I can't take him seriously. So the guy moved on from just being a troll who just did things on social media to get the clicks, right? Onto now openly promoting treason against the Americans and against the West in general. He made a speech at the Houthis rally. You have to take him seriously now because he's an enemy. He's no longer a troll that you can just avoid. He's no longer just that idiot who's sitting in his basement posting on X. He's actually now cooperating with the enemy. Watch this.
America and the Zionist entity fears Yemen more than anyone else.
أمريكا والصهيونية والصهاينة يخافون اليمن.
Because the people of Yemen fear nobody but God.
لأن اليمنيين لا يخشون شيئا إلا الله.